It's Thursday, July 6th, 2000. Tonight on CNN NewsStand. Nearly a year after his tragic death shocked the nation. The final word on what happened. Tonight, why flying in the dark is so dangerous. We all know about road rage. But the skies aren't so friendly anymore either.
Passengers, anything from yelling or screaming at flight attendants to pushing and shoving them to attacking them in the galleys.
White flight attendants were handing out more than sodas and peanuts today.
I have a union number, I'm right with you.
Great.
She came to New York with $7 in her pocket and found success was in the bag.
Kate Spade is in, huh?
Yes, sir.
But what's with the name on the outside?
We had this little box of labels that I had made for the inside of the bag. And so we put it on the outside and we stitched it and I thought, that's it.
So did everyone else. Tonight, the husband and wife team behind the Kate Spade empire. Big Brother is watching. And so are we. From the real world to Survivor. And now, this.
What would motivate someone to lock themselves up in a house with strangers for 100 days?
Greta Van Susteren leads an interactive discussion on Voyeur TV. Get ready to call in or email your questions and comments. CNN NewsStand with anchor Perry Peltz in New York.
Good evening and welcome to NewsStand. Beer cans flying through the plane, flight attendants pushed into the galley, a pilot with teeth marks on his arm. The cause, not turbulent air, but violent passengers. Unfortunately, it's becoming a familiar term, air rage, and today airline employees held demonstrations around the world to say the increased incidents of passenger violence have to stop. More from Chris Wolf.
Flight attendants around the world descended on airports promoting public awareness of air rage.
I want to see them contact their local airport, contact their congressmen, their senators, tell them that we need to do something to stop this.
You can't get rid of every type of disruptive passenger or air rage, but we can certainly try to minimize those that are now occurring.
The International Transport Federation is coordinating the flight attendants campaign. The group wants more passenger education, better training for flight crews, better tools for restraining unruly customers, and even higher fines. David Fuscus is a spokesman for the Air Transport Association, which represents major airlines.
About 4 months ago, the president signed into law a bill that raises the penalties for people that engaged in dangerous behavior up to $25,000 in fine and up to 5 years in prison. So there's very stiff federal laws.
Air turbulence aside, flights can be extremely bumpy when passengers let their tempers fly.
Well, we came back from Cape Town just about a year ago. And there was a fellow in there who was really obnoxious. They had a terrible time with him. Finally, the two big guys just restrained him.
We call it disruptive passengers, and really it's when a passenger does something that endangers someone else or endangers the aircraft, which of course means endangers everybody on board.
Airlines have reported passengers erupting in violence, from biting a pilot's arm to breaking into the cockpit and threatening to kill the crew. Air rage has also forced emergency landings. United States air crews alone cite skyrocketing figures. They list 66 cases of air rage for 1997 and 500 cases in 1999. With hundreds of millions of air passengers around the world every year, the number of air rage incidents is small. But think about this. Here on the ground, you have the luxury of space and alternatives for handling a disruptive or dangerous person. But 30,000 feet up, you're trapped.
There was a passenger that had a little to drink and was just irate, getting loud with other passengers, annoying other passengers. And really, everyone just looked at each other because there's nothing we could do.
Flight attendants are calling for more tools to defuse human time bombs. Creators of one program say they've coached employees from Delta and U.S. Airways and plan to train staff from several other airlines. It's called Verbal Judo, founded by an English professor in New Mexico. Flight crews learn to calm an angry passenger through words and gentle persuasion. The goal is to not appear too weak or too forceful and avoid physical confrontation.
They receive a variety of training, conflict resolution, how to talk to people, calm them down, but certainly training as well as how to restrain someone if indeed that is necessary.
A spokesperson for U.S. Airways says crews are now equipped with plastic handcuffs.
It should be taken seriously, but I don't think handcuffs, you should have the proper authority.
I think it's wonderful. I think it should be done.
The Flight Attendants Union wants governments around the world to introduce tougher laws against air rage by the end of 2002. Chris Wolf, CNN, Atlanta.
And now a perspective from someone who deals with air rage directly. Mary Beth Weber has been a flight attendant for 32 years. She joins us now from Chicago, where she coordinated today's air rage protest at O'Hare Airport. Ms. Weber, thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me on.
You obviously are very upset about the problem of air rage. Just how dangerous do you think it is for the flying public?
I think the potential is extremely dangerous. I think that if we haven't had an incident, a crash, so far, it's not too far in our future when passengers are breaking down the doors of cockpits and attacking our pilots in flight.
Why do you think the number of air rage incidents has actually increased fivefold in the past 3 years? What's going on?
Well, we have the situation where we have more people flying, we have longer delays. The weather has been a huge factor this summer in the Midwest, which has impacted the entire country because of the hub and spoke system. And I think that what we're seeing in the country is that rage, road rage, different kinds of rages is just becoming more commonplace every day. And we see it on the airplane also. It's just a microcosm of society.
Well, obviously passengers are angry, but there has to be a better way to deal with it than punching a flight attendant. What do you think government, or for that matter, industry needs to do to make the situation better?
We think that government and industry need to work together to set rules and regulations and policies that are consistent between airlines. Many of the rules and regulations that the FAA has set use the word reasonable, and what allows to happen is the airlines then set their own definition of reasonable, such as carry-on baggage. And so United Airlines will have a policy in American and Continental and Southwest, and there'll be different policies. And this just adds to people's discontent. No wonder passengers get upset. They don't know what's consistent from one airline to the other. There need to be consistent policies.
So they come on an airplane, they say, well, wait a second, I was able to store my baggage underneath the seat on the last flight. Why not this one?
Right, absolutely. And you can understand why they're confused and can get angry because they're in a hurry and making connections. It's a tough world out there.
Ms. Weber, tell us about your experience. Have you ever been a victim of air rage?
I've been very fortunate in that I have not been a victim of physical abuse on the aircraft. I've certainly been the victim of verbal abuse over my 32 years, but I've learned how to handle that, and by diffusing customers and not helping to escalate the problem, as some of your other people have said earlier. But I've been very lucky that I have never been physically assaulted.
You said a little bit earlier that you feel if unchecked, this problem could lead eventually to a crash. That sounds kind of extreme. Why do you feel that way?
Well, a couple of months ago, a 250-pound man broke down the cockpit door of an Alaska Airlines airplane and attacked the two pilots. If it hadn't been for the quick thinking of one of those pilots to jump out of his seat and being able to subdue that man and get him out of the cockpit, what was to prevent him from actually disabling both pilots? And in fact, there was an instance several years ago where a disgruntled ex-employee of an airline broke through the cockpit, shot the pilots, and the airplane crashed. And everyone on board died.
All right, on that very frightening note, we have to say thank you for your time. We appreciate your thoughts.
Thank you
Mary
very
Beth
much.
Weber in Chicago. Thank you. Also tonight, government investigators closed the book on a plane crash that broke the heart of many Americans. As aviation correspondent Carl Rochelle tells us, a final report confirms what had been widely speculated during a hazy night off the Massachusetts coast.
After almost a year, the National Transportation Safety Board has completed its work studying the cause of the crash of John Kennedy Jr.'s plane, which went down last July 16th off the coast of Martha's Vineyard, killing Kennedy, his wife Carolyn, and his sister-in-law Lauren Bassett. The National Transportation Safety Board, in its report, found the probable cause of the crash was the pilot's failure to maintain control of the airplane during a descent over water at night, which was the result of spatial disorientation. Factors in the accident, the National Transportation Safety Board said, were haze and a dark night. Key to that is the spatial disorientation. That is a condition where a pilot has difficulty in determining up or down, or which way the plane is moving, whether it's moving to the right or left. That's a condition that can normally be dealt with by someone who has an instrument rating. Kennedy did not have an instrument rating. He had spent roughly 310 hours flying aircraft. He was about halfway through an instrument rating course. 12 out of 25 lessons had been completed, but his instructor said that he was having difficulty performing multiple tasks at the same time, something that is required of an instrument pilot. But that was not abnormal, his instructor said. He was about average for where he should be in an instrument rating course. But that's not good enough to be able to deal with that particular kind of situation. The wreckage of the airplane was pulled up. It was examined thoroughly. The National Transportation Safety Board said its examination of the wreckage showed no indication of airframe or avionics or engine damage, any damage to any of those instruments, any damage to any of the aircraft or airframe or engine before the plane hit the water, putting the probable cause of the accident solely on the squares of the pilot in command, John Kennedy Jr. I'm Carl Rochelle, CNN, Washington.
And as Carl just told us, night flying presents a perilous set of challenges. Shortly after the Kennedy plane crash, CNN's Charles Feldman, who is also a pilot, illustrated how quickly darkness may lead to serious trouble.
Night flying, especially over a dazzling city such as Los Angeles, can be beautiful. But there are dangers lurking in the darkness for a pilot, especially one without a lot of night flying experience or experience flying on instruments. I teamed up with Clark Harrell, a flight instructor and former Air Force pilot, to show just how quickly a pilot can get disoriented in the darkness of night.
We're climbing out of Long Beach Airport, and what we're going to show you is how different the view is from the cockpit when you're flying toward the lights of a big city, such as Los Angeles, and what happens when you bank the plane and point in the direction of the ocean when it's dark outside and there's no discernible horizon.
As long as we can see land, it is easy to tell just by looking outside what the aircraft is doing.
Now in about 15 seconds we'll see a nice transition from light to dark.
But once we are pointed toward the ocean, the blackness of night makes it almost impossible to tell up from down without the aid of the aircraft's instruments. As a test, I closed my eyes to prevent me from looking at the instruments and tried to figure out what the pilot was doing with the small single-engine plane.
It feels like we're banking to the left and a slight climb.
That's actually the opposite. We're banking to the right, and at that time we had just a few feet per minute descent rate.
So at night, our senses actually trick us into thinking that we're flying straight and level when in fact, as I've said, you're actually banking or descending or climbing.
Flight instructors will tell you that to fly safely at night, it is helpful for the pilot to have instrument training and practice in recovering from unusual attitudes. But they say the most important thing a pilot needs to ensure a safe landing at night is lots of good judgment. Charles Feldman, CNN, Los Angeles.
For more on this story, log on to our website, CNN.com. You'll find an in-depth section on the death of John F. Kennedy Jr., plus a link to the full NTSB report.
Next, we visit a land of stubborn hatreds, tough tactics, and a fragile peace process. And later, your chance to sound off about Big Brother and reality TV. The address is greta.newsstand at cnn.com or call toll-free 1-877-551-5436.
Good morning, it's 6 a.m. Come on, your meeting's in 2 hours.
Comfort Inn knows the business traveler.
I've been thinking. Kill the slides. Just talk to him.
Remember, enunciate. Take deep breaths.
Our complimentary breakfast saves you time and money.
You the man.
Our guest privileges frequency program earns you free nights fast. And we serve business travelers in over 1,500 locations worldwide.
You did it again.
I love my job.
It's more than a room, it's comfort.
C'est une infamie.
C'est fantastique.
C'est horrible.
Viens, papa.
It's timeless, like her beauty. Ageless, like her smile. And like your love, everlasting. Is there any other way to show your love was meant to last a lifetime?
Well, you could tell her. Then with the same 13 grand, she could have over $60,000 for her retirement. We just thought you should know. Ask a financial advisor about Sun America, the retirement specialist.
What is Tyco doing today? We're building advanced electronic systems that make cars smarter and driving safer. What is Tyco doing today? Working in your world. Tyco International.
A spokesman for former independent counsel Kenneth Starr goes on trial next Thursday. Charles Bacali is charged with criminal contempt in connection with the Monica Lewinsky investigation. He resigned from his post after an internal investigation concluded he may have leaked confidential grand jury information to the media. At the time, the U.S. Senate was considering impeachment charges against President Clinton. July in Northern Ireland, typically a time for marching, often a time for violence. After 4 nights of rioting, British authorities banned a second Protestant march, fearing violence could endanger Northern Ireland's fragile peace. CNN's Nick Robertson explores centuries of sectarian passion as he opens his reporter's notebook.
This Drum Cree March has been going on, according to its Orange Order organizers, for 180 years now. It commemorates, amongst other things, the Battle of the Boyne. That's the 1690 triumph of King William of Orange over the Catholic forces. It is contentious because the route they want it to take is the route they say has always been taking. However, on that route now is a Catholic community who are very much opposed to the march coming down. The Catholic communities see the Orange Order marches as triumphalism over the Catholic community. The Orange Order has been stopped from going through the Catholic Gavaki Road now for the last 2 years. 1996 and 1997, when the march last went down, were very, very contentious affairs. There was a lot of violence. The violence this time has come from the Protestant community. Before that, much of the violence came from the Catholic community, who were protesting that the march had gone through their neighborhood. Now, the Orange Order in 1998 and 1999 believed that if it took a peaceful approach, it would be able to have their march sometime in the future. That hasn't happened, and very much this time the Orange Order, the Protestant community, believe that they have to draw a line in the sand now. At Drum Cree itself, the army and police now have fortified the road to prevent the marchers progressing from their church service at Drum Cree Church down along the Catholic Gavaki Road. There are some 2,000 plus British soldiers who have been brought into Northern Ireland in readiness to support the police. The security forces here act under the direction of the Chief of Police, Ronnie Flanagan.
Undoubtedly, their intentions are to use firearms, which they have access to use blast bombs, which they've used against my officers in the past number of days.
As far as the Orange Brethren will go, they will accept that it's a peaceful protest that they want. But as for the outsiders, the paramilitary elements, I can't see me having any influence over them.
The Orange Order say that they believe they had a commitment from the British Prime Minister Tony Blair to allow them to route the march through the Catholic neighbourhood. They feel let down. They don't trust the Parades Commission. They believe that the word of the Parades Commission, the word that perhaps in 3 to 8 months they could have a march, they don't believe that.
Checking other top stories, at least 27 people are dead, most of them teenagers, after their bus crashed head-on with a truck in northern Spain. The teens were heading to summer camp. Authorities say the truck apparently swerved into the path of the bus. In southeastern Europe, people and livestock are dying, crops are wilting, and roads are melting from record high temperatures. It's been well over 100 degrees in the region all week. Some areas saw temperatures reach 113 degrees today. U.S. drug enforcement agents say they have smashed Puerto Rico's largest and most dangerous drug trafficking organization. At least two-thirds of its members have been arrested, including the reputed leader. Authorities say this group supplied Colombian cocaine and heroin from Miami to Boston. Professional football player Fred Lane was shot to death at his Charlotte, North Carolina home today. Police say it appears to be a case of domestic violence. Lane, a former running back for the Carolina Panthers, was recently traded to the Indianapolis Colts.
Coming up, a straight sets victory for the game of tennis. The latest match in a sibling rivalry that has a long way to go.
I'm only 18, Vance is 20, so I have a lot of years ahead of me.
I love you! And later we'll tune in to TV's hottest new fad. Greta Van Susteren leads our interactive discussion on reality TV. Call in now or email. The address is greta.newsstand@cnn.com. Or phone toll-free 1-877-551-5436.
AOL membership gives you more. It's so easy to use and easy to get started.
You just plug it in and you're good to go.
Email, buddy list, keywords.
Type in the keyword and boom, you're there.
At America Online, your security and privacy are always protected. Special software encodes and protects your credit card every time you buy online through AOL. Parental controls let you control where your kids go online. And AOL has free help 24 hours a day online or by phone. America Online. So easy to use, no wonder it's #1. Sign up today.
Now there are over 50 index funds that you can buy and sell just like stocks. Introducing iShares.
Venus Williams says it's always been her dream to win Wimbledon, and tonight she is a step closer. But she had to beat her best friend and close relative, her younger sister Serena, to get there. Their semifinal showdown on center court ended in a straight set victory for Venus. The last set a tiebreaker. Since turning professional, the sisters have met 5 times before, Venus now winning 4 of those matches. Later, she said she didn't have as much fun on the court today as she normally does.
It's really bitter, but someone had to move on. It was either going to be me or Serena. In this instance, it was me. And I really think she showed me how to play today, actually. I was just doing what she was doing. I expect to play a lot better than I did today. It was my goal to do better in this tournament, but that's okay. I'm only 18, Vance is 20, so I have a lot of years ahead of me.
As promised, their father, who is also their coach, skipped the match. Richard Williams wandered around Wimbledon Village instead, waiting for it to be all over.
Because I felt that it's like having 2 people in an arena like the Roman Empire used to do, and one person had a right to die and one had a right to live. And the one that won had the right to live. And that's what this reminded me of, and I wouldn't be a part of it.
Williams says he will be at center court on Saturday when his daughter Venus takes on defending Wimbledon champion Lindsay Davenport, who also won in straight sets today, setting up the first All-American women's final there in 10 years.
Up next, they started a fashion empire by putting their names together.
I kept thinking of all these things, and then it was Kate Spade.
The story behind the hottest, chicest bags in the biz. When Newsstand returns.
Gristle,
I don't think we should see each other anymore.
You read my mind! Hey, can you come by tomorrow and pick up your stuff?
Sooner the better.
Wow, that was painless. Like Gigo.com, where you take control of buying a car. Research it, finance it, buy it. Gigo.com, we've got this car thing down.
America's working. I'm Willow Bay. We'll look at one of the tightest labor markets in years and preview the crucial jobs report on Friday, 11:30 Eastern on CNN.
Hey kids and parents, look at this. Building blocks are great, but they're rigid and square. Better blocks are better. They bend, shape, curve, and move. And now you can get more Better blocks than ever before. Introducing the Better Blocks Value Pack. You'll get not one, but 4 sets of Better blocks. That's 1,000 blocks. An $80 value for only $29.95. You'll get a set of glow-in-the-dark Better blocks. Just turn out the lights for fun that starts at night. But that's not all. You'll also get a set of magic color change Better blocks. Now you can make bath time loads of fun. They even change in the sun. But wait, you'll also get a set of basic Better blocks. Now you can have hours of fun designed for everyone. And as a special bonus, you'll get a full set of Sparkle Better blocks. They sparkle and shine for hours of fun times. That's right, you get all 4 sets. A set of glow-in-the-dark, a set of sparkle blocks, a set of color change, and a set of basic Better blocks. That's an $80 value for only $29.95. For your Better Blocks value pack, call 1-800-242-4200 now.
CNN in Time, the Sunday news magazine, 9 Eastern, only on CNN.
We have news now from the fashion world. Now that clothes are more casual inside the office and out, attention and dollars have shifted to accessories. And for women, that means handbags. Last winter, Newsstand's Willow Bay met the designer who more than anyone else helped to set that trend. A woman and a company named Kate Spade.
I bought 5.
Every girl in New York has one. That'd be a good gift for my sisters.
I have 6.
My wife is gonna like it, that's all I know.
The company that makes these handbags is just 7 years old.
Kate Spade is in, huh?
Yes, sir. Now, Kate Spade sells an estimated $60 million worth of accessories a year. But Kate Spade didn't just launch a company. She helped spark a major fashion trend that is just possibly at its peak today.
Right now, they're hot. They're what everyone wants.
From high-end to mass market, this season's must-have accessory is a handbag.
Thank you I'm so excited. You're welcome.
Kate Spade, the company, is the creation of Kate Spade, the designer, and Andy Spade, her business partner and husband.
Let's look at it, yeah.
She heads design. He's in charge of marketing.
You want to do it now?
Yeah, I can do it.
But they run the company together,
This I adore.
shaping the Kate Spade brand and fine-tuning the Kate Spade look.
Black leather or brown?
Both.
Oh, great.
How did the two of you meet, and when was that? When did we meet? 83?
83.
In college.
Where were you in college?
Arizona State University.
And how did you meet?
We worked together at a men's traditional clothing store, something like a Brooks Brother. She was on the women's side and I was on the men's side. And we would cross paths as we traded kind of sides to work with customers.
We actually started out as good friends.
You came to New York straight from college?
Yes.
With $7 in your pocket, is that true?
Well, what happened was I had gone to Europe and honestly did land at JFK with $7, and it cost $5 to take the bus to Penn Station. And I walked from Penn Station to my friend's apartment in Hell's Kitchen.
That's great.
Andy found work in advertising. Kate stumbled into the fashion world.
I went to a temp agency, in between writing my resume and everything, and it was on my 3rd day there that they sent me to Mademoiselle magazine. And then I stayed there for 5 years.
But they were restless.
Andy and I, one night, had decided we wanted to start a business.
Tell me a little bit about that.
It really was at dinner over a margarita and tacos.
And we thought about doing a soda company or a travel agency or an ad agency, and then we thought, well, let's try a bag.
Having been the accessories editor, I had a good idea of what was in the market and what wasn't. And it was what wasn't in the market that we decided we would do.
What was that?
It was, to me, a very simply shaped classic bag with a great sense of style. When I would do photo shoots and I would have to gather all the accessories for them, I couldn't find them. I would think, oh God, a gray, a charcoal gray flannel bag would be great here, or oh, wouldn't it be great if you could see, a seersucker bag on this shoot? And I couldn't find them, and nobody was doing them. All I could really find in the market were black bags. Besides the herring.
Kate was an accessories editor, but that didn't mean she knew how to make accessories.
We didn't know anything. I mean, I honestly looked for things in the yellow pages. And I couldn't really turn to a lot of the designers that I had worked with because I thought that they would think, oh my gosh, she's been in my showroom and she'll, she knows what I'm doing and she'll go out and do the exact same thing. And our whole point was to not do anything that was out there. And people say, well, you must have known something, you were in the business. Nothing. So for our very first line, we did a burlap with a raffia fringe, and I really did get that out of the yellow pages from a potato sack company.
In the early days, we used to have to go up to our contractors in the accessory area. We'd take the subway up and fill garbage bags full of handbags and take them back down on the subway because the taxi cabs would not pick us up. They thought it was either laundry or garbage, and we'd have 10 bags around us, so we'd lug it through the subway and climb 5 flights of stairs to their Tribeca loft.
Elise Cox was Kate's best friend in college and first business partner.
It was 110 degrees outside, no air conditioning in the loft, and we were steaming wool bags and stuffing wool bags, only to have to run them back down the stairs to the UPS man later that day. We had so many boxes of handbags at that time that they actually had to stay at my house because we didn't have any room for their bed. It was the hottest summer ever. But probably the most fun because when you're in a really bad situation, complaining about it's not going to make it any better. So we'd laugh all day. It was just fun.
They called their new company Kate Spade. Her first name, his last.
We weren't married at the time, but we combined the two names. It kind of made sense, the Kate and Spade together.
And Andy kept saying, Kate Spade. I was like, no. And I kept thinking of all these things, and Andy was, Kate Spade.
2 years later, Kate and Andy were married. She took the name of her husband and her business. They liked the name so much, they took it even further.
You design your bags with the label on the outside. Yes. Why did you do that? It was the night before one of these shows. And it was our second show, actually. And I was looking at the nylon bag, and they're very simple, and that's really how I wanted them, very simple shapes. And I thought, I really didn't want any hardware, but I thought there's something missing, something for your eye to go to that kind of grounded the bag. So we had this little box of labels that I had made for the inside of the bag. And so we put it on the outside and we stitched it, and I'm looking, I thought, that's it. That's it.
They got their first break at a trade show in 1993.
We had an awful positioning at the very beginning. Luckily, some people did wobble their way back to our corner.
Who were your first customers? Who bought your first bags?
Barney, Fred Siegel, Charivari.
Charivari, when Charivari was
Bergdorf Goodman.
Only the most prestigious high fashion stores out there.
That was Andy's point. I remember crying, saying, "Oh, we were doing."
Kate just cried because we did. I mean, the orders weren't big at the time, but they were the right accounts, and it actually worked out.
Vogue magazine featured a Kate Spade bag along with top fashion houses like Chanel and Fendi. That's when the buzz really began. She was named Best New Talent by her fellow fashion designers in 1996.
Thank you so much.
She appeared with Andy's brother, David Spade, at the Academy Awards.
This is Kate Spade, who's my sister-in-law.
Then an unexpected burst of publicity when Monica Lewinsky was spotted carrying a Kate Spade bag. Business grew along with the buzz. Sales soared to an estimated $60 million this year. Kate Spade opened its own stores in the U.S. and Japan and introduced shoes, coats, hats, and scarves, a stationery store, and Jack Spade, which sells accessories for men. And Neiman Marcus bought 56% of Kate Spade for more than $33 million.
Kate Spade filled a niche because the young 20-something fashion customer did not have a designer that she could call her own.
Terry Agans covers the fashion business for the Wall Street Journal.
Kate Spade is at this, wonderful moment where she has a chance to really build her company into a mega brand. The challenge is not going too far. The market is crowded, saturated with so many fashion brands at every price, so there's no margin for error.
And what happens when this accessories trend, as all trends do, moves on? Can her bags become classics that never go out of style? Or will Kate Spade be the next Jordache jeans?
This concept was that it's not trendy, it's going to be around 100 years from now. We've never liked the idea of something that's in today and gone tomorrow.
Kate Spade says there's a clear difference between trendiness and true style.
I'm not interested so much in trendy design, and I'm not interested in something really crazy. I love clean design, very clean design with color. And then it's something that you go, oh, where did you get those? Or what is that? And you feel kind of, you know, you have a simple black dress and this great bag, or, you know, your shoes, or some big ring, I don't know, something.
And starting this fall, you will be able to travel in style. Kate Spade has a new line of luggage coming out in September. And yes, they tell us the labels will be on the outside. Newsstand will be right back.
Coming up.